Today, it's your birthday. Yesterday was too, and so is tomorrow. Not sure what that means? Let us introduce you to this super powerful concept in our community.
Who are we? We are Helene and Christina, and our mission is to teach, empower, and remind women to celebrate themselves. Combined, we have over 35 years as therapists in private practice. But it was in the office, as well as in our personal lives, that we were hearing from women week after week. Christina's smiling at me, so she's making me giggle, not feeling seen or alive as they went through their messy middle part of life. If you are not sure how Christina and I define this, no problem. Go back to episode 2 of season 1. We'll get you all caught up.
We come to you today not as your therapist, but rather two women in this life stage with you as your friends. Our podcast promises to talk about the difficult stuff, uncomfortable topics in a way to empower you, laugh along the way, that's my part, and healing and joy in the middle of it. We strive to find the meaning in the messy middle or the unknown. What sets us apart? We leave you with gifts each and every episode. These may come in the form of actionable tools or strategies, invitations to be exactly where you are right now, and sometimes mic drop thought-provoking ideas.
Now that we're all friends, let's make this official. Christina and I would absolutely love to help you start your Thursday mornings each and every week. So go ahead and subscribe to our podcast wherever you listen to us. We would also love to help you by giving you gifts immediately. Guess what? We have a newsletter on yourbirthdaypodcast.com. When you go to our website, you're going to get an invitation to fill out a quiz. Go ahead and do it. And immediately in your inbox, Christina and I will be sending you gifts so you can start living your life how you want.
Oh my gosh, I am so ready to talk about our topic today. We're talking all about selfing. And I just love that word. But for some people, it might be like anxiety provoking.
It could be your own.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
And it might be your body telling you that you are in the messy middle of selfing. And so, without further delay, grab your favorite beverage. Mine is my grown up chocolate milk, aka coffee with a lot of cream. And join us as we talk about putting yourself in your life.
So let's start off maybe by, I don't know, a little bit of a roll call. Like, take a moment, whether you're driving or if you're listening to us at Starbucks or wherever you're at, and ask yourself, do you ever find yourself caught up in the demands of everyday life, constantly putting everyone forward and neglecting your own needs? Now, if you had the instinct to put your hand up, you're not alone, girlfriend. Like, there are many times within Christina's and my life, we probably would have put 2 hands up. Like, we're right there with you.
And all toes.
10 toes, 10 fingers, 10 toes. And we want to let you know that you're in the right place. Like, if you've been living life taking care of everyone else and the idea of taking care of you feels very foreign, you're in the right place with us today. And the fact that you had that oomph, as Christina always talks about, like either this is a yay or an oomph. If you had the oomph, like just own it. And we're going to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I want you to know, I guess, it goes back to like that airplane, right? If they always say like, put your mask down on yourself first before you help someone else. Like if you're someone who's a giver or an overextender, you're not going to be able to keep doing it unless you take care of yourself. So we're going to bust through barriers and belief systems, invite more boundaries, which Christina and I love to talk about, so you can keep doing what you want to do. And we love that word. Go back to the episode about the word and have a life for you too.
100%. This is a hard one. I would probably, I'm not a gambler. I hate the casino, but I would bet like 99% of women struggle with this. Like we can go back intergenerationally and see that women have been caregivers since the first breath of time, whatever you believe that is. Like we are innate
biologically and culturally given to us and shown. You're
Oh,
right.
100%. I mean, I think of Native American women who used to wrap their babies in the cocoon and hang them from a tree branch so they could work. Like they're still caring for the baby as they're working.
Mhm. Wow. Like, just take that, I'm that visual person. Like, yeah. Because, right, if you have a young one at home or a baby at home, like, you're probably trying to figure out, or I mean, I remember the day, like, okay, if I put my daughter like in the bouncy seat, how do I get the load of laundry going? And then do I need to figure this out? And then, like, oh, I have some emails. Like, you're constantly doing, you're not probably, or if you are, then go on our Instagram page and tell us how you do it and how you commit to doing that to yourself, because we're not good at that yet, of taking care of yourself. And I think what we want to encourage you is not so much like doing the bubble baths, like doing the facials, like those are awesome and keep doing them. I think what we're talking about, Christina, is we want you to have the mindset of the
Mhm.
permission slip to do self thing, not just the behaviors and the actions, but allowing the mindset to do
Yeah.
it.
100%. I mean, this is hard. I was thinking back to the day we brought Svea home from the hospital, and Ethan had a bunch of errands he had to run that had been catching up. And so I'm alone with the baby, and she's sleeping because, newborns sleep like 22.5 hours a day.
Mhm.
And so I looked at her and I was like so scared to take a shower by myself. And I called my mom and I was like, I want to take a shower. She's like, go take a shower.
Yeah.
And I was like, but this being. And she's
Mhm.
like, what do you need? And I was like, I need you to just sit with the baby
Yeah.
while I shower. And in true community women fashion, my mom was like, hell yeah, I'll come over and hold a baby.
Mhm.
She was thrilled. But
Right.
I didn't even think I could independently shower
Yeah.
with a baby.
Right.
Like that's how much I had already given up of myself the second she got evicted.
I laugh because I'm like, in that moment, I'm thinking similarly. I remember a couple of days like with showering, and she would be in the bouncy seat right in front of, like, we have a glass shower at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see her. Like, I wasn't even like fully aware of how to nurture or take care or scrub my body. I took care of her. I mean, yeah,
Yeah, that was just it. And then I remember like when Carl was born and he was like days old, I was going to the bathroom, and every woman knows what going to the bathroom is like right after having a baby. And so you want nothing more than privacy, but I have a 2 year old and I have an infant.
yeah,
And I had set him in the bouncy seat kind of diagonal from the bathroom door so I could like see him.
mm,
But he wasn't like, I mean, he was a newborn. He wasn't moving out of that thing.
right.
So I didn't snap it. And she had been down for a nap. She woke up and he was like making like noises, just chattering noises.
Sure.
And she picks him up and brings him to me as I'm on the toilet. And I'm like, I can't even like wipe myself.
Right. Right.
And then
And,
we fast
but we
forward,
love Savea, but instinctually, right?
right,
She knew
as a
something going on
female.
with the baby. Mom, now, granted, she's two. It wasn't her responsibility. But
No,
like
but she saw that
instinctually, like
as a
that's what we
girl.
mean biologically. Like there's like this alarm that kind of goes off, probably in
Yeah.
women. Like the woman needs to take care of it. And part of it is absolutely beautiful. And
Or let's talk about how a baby cries and
yeah,
it's not yours. And if you're a breastfeeding mom, you're grabbing your boobs to hope that they don't start leaking.
right,
Like we are made
right,
to care for everybody else.
right.
But it's often at
At
a
the cost.
sacrifice to
Yeah,
ourselves. Like
yeah,
we are the sacrificial lamb.
right.
And I'm not telling you not to care and love on others. Like that is something that
No.
fills me up. Like I love loving on people. Let's get real.
Yeah,
This podcast is all about loving on people because we love women so much that we genuinely want to build them up to be who they authentically are supposed to be.
absolutely.
Like we
And
love people.
right. And you and I talk about like when it's your birthday and you feel good and you're healthy and you're honoring who you want to be, how you want to be each and every day, it's that trickle effect to everyone out. So it goes
Right.
back to the premise of our mission. Like, if you exist in your own life and every day you figure out your mindset of having it's your birthday, it benefits you and everyone else around you.
100%. But we've got to have a mindset. We've got to have a
Yes. I was
mindset
just going to
that
say.
in so long as we are so focused on caring for others, which is intrinsically who we are, and whether your goal is to break that intergenerational cycle, hats off to you, sister, or if your goal is to do it in a balanced way, or your goal
Right.
is to give yourself 10 minutes of self care a day because that's where your mind is right now, we are with you on this journey.
Right. Because remember, we are always saying drop the
Yeah. So
judgment.
there's no, I don't expect people to come to us and be like, hey, I'm spending an hour a day for me. Probably not. But
There might be another
right,
season of life, but that's not your season right now. It doesn't have to be like Christina's sweater. Like, it's not a black or white. It could be an and. I want to help myself and I want to be available for
right.
my family. So I have to negotiate within myself and others how I can make that happen. And there's a ton of benefits of shifting your mindset and allowing yourself to embrace this concept of
And it can be
you.
super uncomfortable. It can be super
The
uncomfortable. If you are carrying the back of the women before you who have struggled with taking care of themselves, and now you are, you know, 10th, 12th generation of not taking care of yourself or starting the path of taking care of yourself, that is a lot to unravel. And it can feel really
right.
uncomfortable and it can feel unauthentic. It can feel fake. It can feel weird. It can feel, like the first time you tried riding a bike and you're like, dude, this isn't for me.
Right. And I would imagine, like, if you are that 12th generation woman who, for you, you want to change kind of the background noise or the belief system shown to
Mm-hmm.
you and also was given to them, right? Generation 12 gave to generation 11, 10, 9,
Right.
8. Now here we are at 1. There could be a lot of fear. What's all the background going to think of me doing it differently? And for some people, if they don't have a good relationship with fear, they'll go right back to doing what they've done because they want to avoid the uncomfortable. And we understand that. So we're going to do like future episodes about the gifts of
Mm-hmm.
fear. But when you can allow yourself to sit in that uncomfortable that Christina's talking about, your mindset and then your body's going to follow of allowing you be you. And if you're dropping the judgment, then you're not going to care so much about what they're saying. You'll hear it, but you'll come back to self.
100%. Two stories of women before us that stand out is one you were talking about, I think, Grandma Jean, in our episode about heartache and how she just like shut off for a week or a couple weeks. And that
Yeah.
was her self care, right? Like she just said, I'm closing off the world. I need to feel my feelings and I need self care. I think of my mom talks about my great grandma, who was her mom's mom and
Mm.
is described by everybody in the family of just being a spitfire. Like
Whew.
she was in her 60s and would peel out. Yeah, I hope there's a little of her in me or a lot of her in me. But yeah, so I just think of like when she'd get pissed, like, and I guess she'd get
Mm.
pissed at my mom, my aunts, my grandma. Like when she'd get mad, she would just walk out of the house, get in her car, and peel out of the driveway. And
Ooh,
I was like, whoa, that's some self care. I mean, she didn't give a shit what she did to others in that moment.
she didn't.
And, on the same token, like, I think, whoa, what kind of personality disorder was hanging out in there? But on the flip side, like, she cared for herself. In the end of her life, the stories that I get told are
Mm.
her caring for herself. Like, she lived in a little house that she loved that nobody else approved of, but she loved her little place. She didn't always take care of my mom and her sisters. Like, she did a lot of things on her own. She had a great group of girlfriends that she hung out with. Like, she did her life.
She was a pioneer woman in terms of
Yes.
that mindset. And that
Yes.
doesn't mean she didn't love her family. That doesn't mean
Mhm.
that she wanted to be a part of. She was
Right.
not willing to lose herself. And at the end of the life, say, where was I in it? She was in it and she showed up how she wanted to. Oh, we all need to take a piece of her with us.
I know, Grandma
Okay.
Sund.
Oh, they're
Ah,
causing issues up there, wherever they are. They
I
are.
know. Oh, she just, yeah. She
Mm.
also was an artist and a painter. And oh man,
Mm.
she's one woman that I wish I would have gotten to meet in this world because I think we would have clicked, although I think we might have been too much alike. But yeah, so I think, when we can learn to self, and that means just taking time with you, like with you, whatever that looks like.
Right.
Whether, I walk the dogs in the morning and I absolutely love that I see this woman. It doesn't matter. Like it is flipping dark out. I'm wearing like a little light vest that like blinks and all the fun colors. Without fail, no matter the weather, in -5, this woman is walking every single morning. Like
Wow.
every single morning. Like on weekends that the dogs let me sleep in and I look out the window, she is walking. And I'm like, you go, sister. Like that
Absolutely.
is selfing. And no matter what day of the week, she is caring for herself with that walk.
Right.
And when I'm out with the dogs, I always say hi to her and I'm like, way to go. Like I just want her to know I'm cheering her on.
And I think that's the piece that we can take from your neighbor, that if selfing is something new and you're going to allow yourself to walk away from this and just be curious, the more you expose yourself to doing something and allowing yourself to have the commitment to follow through with it, you're challenging past noise and you're allowing kind of new pathways for your
Mm-hmm.
new mindset. So we don't know if this woman, like, at one point didn't show up for herself. She dreamt about walking. She allowed herself to say, wow, if I walked every day for a couple of minutes, I think the version of who I am would be calmer, peaceful, whatever it is. But the more you do these things and allow your time right now to be like, if I did some selfing, what would I do? The more you do it, you're going to have more opportunity to, again, increase that mindset and then that commitment to yourself, just like that neighbor. So take
Mm-hmm.
that neighbor as a stroll with you. If you're like, I don't know if I could do that, we don't know the before story of this woman. What we know about her now is that when anything, like she's out there and I want to
Mm-hmm.
like channel some of her through me. There's always been a
100%.
sister in front of us, or friend in front of us, a woman in front of us who may have done something that we're wanting to do, and allow yourself to cheer them on and use them as your guide.
Why do you think these women retreats are becoming so popular?
Right. We want community
We want
and
community and
permission.
we want self-care and we want to have validation from others and validate others that you can care for you. It is okay. It
It's
is
more than
okay.
okay.
And if you walk out of this episode with nothing more than that of it's okay for me to care for myself, then we've done our job. But if you get more out of that, which is what we're also hoping,
Right.
and
Yeah.
then even better. Like let's get rid of the guilt. Let's get rid of the cultural expectations. Fucking judgment. I hate judgment. Oh my gosh. If you've grown up Christian, like, I don't know, Christian in the 80s, like you were taught judgment, I think, above all. So let's get rid of that crap. And the feeling that you have to do it all. That is there's mine.
Mm.
Like, and yours, Helene. I'm
Yep.
gonna call you. We
Yep.
both are do it all girls.
Yep.
Yeah. Just yesterday I was having it. Like I worked a 12-hour day. I went and picked up Svea, and if you can't see behind me, it's kind of gray because it was snowing yesterday, which is beautiful and I love it, but the roads flip and suck. And so I was driving like 30 miles an hour to pick her up. There was a huge accident that
Mm.
I had to drive around. And then I got her, and then it was slippery on interchanges. And I was driving, like 30 miles an hour on a highway. And then I get home and I have to shovel the driveway. And I
Right.
haven't eaten dinner, and she hasn't eaten dinner. And so I feed her dinner, I go out and shovel. By the time I'm done with my day and
Yeah.
can finally like eat dinner or pee for Pete's sakes, it was 10 p.m.
I know. Yeah.
And she looks at me and she's like, Mom, will you sit with me when I go to sleep? And I was like, Yes, but I'm going to do a little self-care in this, Lou, because I call her Lila Lou sometimes.
Mm.
And I said, I am going to sit on the floor in my heated blanket, my sauna,
I love that.
and I'm going to be mindless
Mm.
on my phone, just reading things that I've wanted to read that I have in my
Right.
saved. And that's what I did. I just read, I sat in my blanket. She fell asleep within 2 minutes because she was so stupid tired herself.
Mm.
And I let myself have my half hour in my blanket because I needed that reset
Right.
to just like diffuse my entire day.
Yeah.
And that was my selfing.
It's huge. And I think if you had started listening to this episode and you had your hand raised and you are one of those who are needing to know what the concept of selfing is, allow yourself to be curious because when you start doing, you have your relationships are healthier. Your relationship with yourself, first of all, is healthier.
100%.
And then it will trickle to other people. And then you feel empowered. So, like
Mm-hmm.
another quick example is so both my kids are home from college. And I love every minute of it. Like, there's something about like when Laura was on the episode with us, like, even if they're in their rooms and they're doing their own thing, it's just knowing that, like again, all the Cubs are like under the
Under
roof
the roof.
again.
Mm-hmm.
And yesterday, my husband was saying, like you're exhausted, working, doing all the things. And no one is asking me to do any of this, right?
No.
But I want to do like everyone's laundry. I want us to have like really nice meals every day, all the things. And he's like, "You're exhausted." And I said, "I am, and I enjoy it." And he goes, "Well," and they both might be home over the summer. And I couldn't get out of my own way. And I did tell my kids, I said, well, wait, before you come home for the summer, like we'll have to like talk about like what this looks like and what might be different and things like that. Cause like Christmas and Hanukkah is still like all over my house. They're like, we're not packing up. We're leaving on Friday. So like it's everywhere, right? If you have a kid that came home from college, like their shit is all over your house until like you
Mm-hmm.
get it contained. But he said, I think if you allow yourself to realize that you could be a great mom and you still want to have connection with them, but doing this way makes you tired, right? This is another moment where he showed up like really healthy, like
Mm.
for someone who's not a therapist. He goes, I think since they cook, right? Love that my kids cook up at college. He goes, I think during the weekday, we'll all have to take like a night of planning a meal. Like you should not take it all on again unless you want to, but be aware that the cost of it is like now you're exhausted. So it's getting out of your own way. And I think that would be selfing because I would still have family dinners. I would have the beauty of watching my adult children, like, do how they take care of themselves within the family. So it's allowing yourself to drop the guilt, to be
Yeah.
curious, and still honor that really powerful word that Christina wants for herself and all of us this year, joy. So if you
Mm-hmm.
do moments of selfing, you can have it. It doesn't have to be a this or that.
You know what I love that Ryan just taught you in that moment?
Hmm.
Setting boundaries with love.
Oh, I like that statement. Say that again.
Ryan taught you how to set boundaries with love. And he's teaching you this, which internally is also modeling it for your kids. Because what are your children walking away with? This concept that they have to do it all. And that's what I have to sometimes remind myself when I need to slow down. If I don't have the bandwidth to do it for myself because I'm still learning selfing, it's
Hmm.
learning to do it so my kids do different than I did.
Right. We're the models of
Yeah.
of what they
I
take.
mean, like Savea in that moment thinking like, oh, I've got to grab my brother and I'm only 2 years old. And I'm like, don't touch the baby.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
but that's exactly it. I
Mm,
mean, I was already teaching her that at 2 years old.
right.
And
Setting
then,
boundaries with love.
yeah. And then she last night, when I was like, here's your dinner, and she's like, do you want me to come out and help you shovel? I was like, no, I want you to eat dinner. I want you to eat dinner. You don't need to help me shovel. It's a little bit of snow. It's not much. And I've
Right.
been sitting on my butt all day, so I need to move my legs. And it gave me time by myself. Like,
Right.
I actually
Which,
really enjoy shoveling.
which is reclaiming your time, right? Like it may
100%.
not be the time that you wanted, but if you're like, I'm going to move my body, if I want to like throw in a headphone and listen to some music
Mm-hmm.
or a podcast, whatever that looks like, I could look at the beautiful snow, even though I'm exhausted. Like when you set those boundaries, you're right. You do reclaim some of your time.
100%. Yeah. And, you know, when I was sitting with my sauna blanket, because then I was then frozen from shoveling
Mm.
snow. I was
Right.
like, the one thing I will say, like, it does heat you up, but then you're cold because you were sweating. And so when I sat in my sauna blanket and like literally did mindless shit, I was looking up, you know, like self help, life skills stuff. And it allowed me to just sit in self reflection of like, what do I want? What do I need? What do I want 2025 to bring? Not
Mm.
not a New Year's resolution, friends. You know I'm anti those. But
Yes.
just what are my hopes for 2025? What are my aspirations? What am I hoping this year will bring on?
So claiming those quiet moments
Mm-hmm.
to allow yourself to get in connection with what you need. And I think another piece that could be helpful if you haven't listened to our past episode about dating yourself,
Oh my God, I love that
there's a
one.
little bit of that. And you guys love that one. The numbers were crazy with that one, which was
I love that
fabulous.
one.
But the episode about learning or the gifts from dating yourself, like that's on a big scale. But I think what Christine is also inviting you to do is that if you have those quiet moments, you can
Mm-hmm.
allow self reflection and just that voice of like, I'm needing warmth, I'm needing connection, I'm
Mm-hmm.
needing to write in my journal, I'm needing 10 minutes to read a book. Again, we're not, it has to be big. If you want to go big, go big. But if your life isn't going to allow for big right now, you get to celebrate the little things that you do. They're all successes that can lead to a big thing. So don't give those away the opportunity to celebrate them.
100%. And I think, you know, those self rituals, like you said, like it is part of being able to be there for other people. If this if this concept is hard for you and scary because you feel like you're going to be taking away from others,
Mm.
my challenge to you is actually you're going to be able to give others more. And by more, I mean quality versus quantity,
Mm-hmm.
because that's huge.
Can you think
And
of an example that if someone is embracing selfing, that it will give more, and you want our audience to know the more doesn't have to be quantity, it could be quality. What would be an example where their quality could be more enriched?
well, I think when you create self care and self time, then your energy is built up and you're not so drained, like Ryan called you out on.
Mhm.
And maybe the night you cook dinner, you make a really nice dinner
Right.
versus seven average dinners. Or
It's a
we
great
end up
example.
with lots of leftovers because you made one big pot of pasta that everybody's like, yeah, it was good. Or you make
Mhm.
one night of their favorite meal that takes you an hour.
It's a great example. And I think also, like, as you're saying that, I think women also really love, like, when they if you're someone who really enjoys your friendships or like I love my walk and talk and coffee with people, like if you are selfing and you've given to yourself, the better quality is that when you're with your friend, you have the capacity to listen. If they have a hard moment, you can show up in a way that feels genuine for you as a friend, and they will feel it. Because if I have 10,000 things going on in my head, my
Mm-hmm.
really good friends are going to know I'm not really connected.
Oh,
So
yeah.
so I think when you say you'll show up much better in quality, and that's what we want. We want people to have a better quality of life. We're not doing the mark by quantity on it's your birthday. It's better quality. So I love that you offered that gift.
100%. And that's really what it's about. You know, I keep, as we're in this podcast episode, I keep thinking of, I have a good friend of mine whose husband every Mother's Day gifts her a getaway just for herself.
Mm.
And, you know, it's been times that it's at a local hotel that's like 2 miles down the road. There's been times that it's been a trip, depending on where they are in life or finances or whatever.
Right.
But she authentically takes that alone time and just sleeps. You know, she's a devout Christian, so she prays, she listens, she reads her Bible, she sits in journals. Like, this is her reflective healing time. And she's a stay at home mom. So we all
Mm.
know she gets like negative of that, not even zero.
Right.
And what a beautiful gift.
And what I love about your friend, she says thank you.
Yep.
She says thank you. And
And
she
takes it.
does the gift.
Yeah. So I love it. And I think of that often of just her taking time to unplug and restore herself.
Right. You have a lot of women that are giving us gifts and examples of really great self thing.
I have such a cool tribe. I have
Yeah.
such a cool tribe. Like, I have really incredible women in my life.
Mhm.
I'm so grateful. I have incredible people in my life, period. It's not just women. I just really have incredible
Mm.
humans in my life that I'm
Yeah.
so grateful God has brought into my world.
Mm.
You're one of them. You teach me every day.
We are. Yeah.
Yes. And
Yeah.
I just think, and maybe your self care
Mm.
is thanking those women who've taught you self care.
Mm. Like your
And
friend.
how can you sprinkle more of them in your life? Like of their values. I go back, I almost every episode I talk about what Sarah taught me in life.
I was just thinking about Sarah.
Yeah. And so what have your friends taught you in life that you can learn from them? What have the women who are around you, your mom, your aunts, your sister, your whoever, what have they taught you
Right.
about taking care of yourself?
And I know one of our future episodes is going to be the gifts that you get from burnout,
Mm-hmm.
which I have done horribly. And I think of when I allowed myself to get completely burnt out. I didn't know anything different at the time. And there was a woman who was working at the same place. And I was like, well, I don't know. I was working like way too many hours, like from morning to night. I got sick a couple of times. Like I just was not listening to all the signs of my body and my knowing. And I remember saying to her, but you do it. And she's like, Helene, I have 35 years ahead of you. Like, I hope I've learned a little bit about how to take care of myself so I can take
Mm-hmm.
care of the mission of where we work. And until you learn and gift yourself how to do that, you'll keep burning out. And she goes, but for today, she said, you're going home. Like, she took my work bag and she walked me to my car. And she
Mm-hmm.
said, you, in a way, you need to go do self-thing
Mm-hmm.
because you're giving to everyone and burning yourself out. And we want you here. You need to
Yeah.
go home. And she sent me home. So sometimes if someone in front of you recognizes you need some selfing, like someone who I worked for, and then your friend's husband, just sprinkle some Grandma Jean in your life and just say thank you. I didn't notice
Yeah.
I needed it. And I'm glad you did for me.
100%. 100%. Just Saturday night, or Sunday, I guess it was Sunday night. Yeah, because the Vikings
Everyone's
game was
off
on.
this week.
I know. Sunday night, the Vikings game was on. This is how I count my days, is what was on TV, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, a gift that I'd gotten my sister had arrived. And I was like, oh, your gift came, and I have this to give you, and I have this to give you. And if anybody knows, my sister is actually my sister in law, Julie, but
Mhm.
she's my sister. And we took the in law off, and I stole her, and Ethan can't ever have her back. So there's that. And that was part of my self care. She's mine. So anyway, I texted her and I was like, hey, this came. Can I bring it over? And she's like, I'm good. I'll see y'all tomorrow. I have the day off. And I was like, I have time. I never have time. Can I bring it over? And she's like, you could take care of yourself. And I was like, Julie, I have time. What do we do with time? And she's like, you stay home and you take care of yourself.
Right. But she said the boundary, I love you and
I know.
I'm
Julie's really good at
selfing.
setting boundaries, right? Like she
Yeah.
majorly selfs about her birthday of not letting us like majorly
Yep.
celebrate her. But yes. So then I was like, what do I do with this? Huh? Time? Like, I don't know how to deal with time, with extra time.
Right.
So I did. I did. I celebrated me. I went up. I went back in my sauna blanket because that's my winter therapy,
That's what you needed.
and spent some time there and reading my book and all the things, right? So it's huge. And so put a little Julie in your life, sprinkle her in, and do some
Yeah.
self care, friends.
So take this next week or so, I would say. Like we always
Yeah.
like to leave people with a challenge. Take the next week and allow yourself to be curious. Allow yourself to notice when you might need to do something called selfing Think about the mindset that comes up. No, I shouldn't. Is anyone going to, pass judgment? Do I feel really guilty? All the generations before me don't do that. Just notice it. Just notice it and hold the space for it for the moment. Then see if you can go to the other side of you and say, but if I allowed myself to just do it even for 10 minutes, because Helene and Christina are in my ear and they're not saying I have to do like a whole week away, although if you could, we would love that for you, that I can do just 10 minutes of just putting a blanket around me, having a warm cup of tea, watching something mindless that brings me joy, that maybe I just love looking at the clothes or whatever it is on the TV, and just
Little
celebrate that in that moment you did that.
100%.
Yeah.
So, friends, we are inviting you to self. And this episode is the start of it. It's not the only part of it. And so we are hoping that you have learned today and can carry this message into your life moving forward, that selfing is not selfish. Selfing is honoring yourself as a priority, committing to do something for you this week in order to be able to be your best you.
For yourself and others.
And if you did something for you, we are asking you to please go ahead and post on our social. Find us on Insta, find us on LinkedIn, find us on Facebook. And we are asking you to please tell us what you did for yourself.
Because you may spark curiosity or permission for someone else.
Or an idea of like, they're like, I'm struggling with like, what do I do? Like that was me Saturday or Sunday night. I was like, what do I do for self?
Yeah.
And yeah. So if you know that other women, probably every woman in your life, needs to remind themselves to self, share this episode. It is not optional. Like you just hit share and give it to your whole text list because they all need it. I'm sure your entire tribe needs it.
Yeah.
And if this episode spoke volumes to your heart, give us a positive review. We'd really appreciate that. And this movement of It's Your Birthday is as big as the invitations we all send out. So join us in sharing it. Give it to those who need it in your life. And until next week, friends, happy
birthday.
Have a great week.